Order 66 and the Purge of the Jedi Temple cemented Anakin's turn to the dark side to become Darth Vader. But what if the sacking of the Jedi Temple never happened, and Anakin defended the temple during Order 66? Anakin walks up the staircase of the 1,000-year-old stone temple that's housed generations of Jedi. This is where he grew up, learned to control his powers, and he was about to destroy it. All in the name of his wife Padme, whose certain death he's seen in his nightmares. He must destroy all the Jedi, as only then will he have delved deep enough into the dark side to achieve the power to cheat death and save Padme. He reaches the top of the stairs, where he's greeted by the Gate Master Jurok, who asks Anakin what's going on, that they've all felt a disturbance in the Force. This is it, the first Jedi Anakin has to kill. All he has to do is cut him down and begin his quest to the dark side. He tells his body to reach for his blade, but his arm doesn't move. It can't. He tries again, but nothing happens. He wonders why this might be happening, as his mind starts flooding with images of Padme. What would she think about what Anakin is planning on doing? Anakin doesn't murder in cold blood. That's not who he is. He's the hero of the Clone War, not a villain. Padme would despise Anakin for what he's about to do, so he physically cannot bring himself to kill Jurok. His mind starts flooding with his friends, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, and all the people that care about and love Anakin. Can he really bring himself to turn to the dark side and become everything he's sworn to destroy, and everything all the people he loves despises? The doubts begin to flood in his mind. The clones behind Anakin have waited for him long enough. They shoot down Master Jurok and begin flooding into the temple either side of Anakin. Skywalker was oblivious to what had just happened, as his thoughts are still bombarded with the guilt of his loved ones, as his mind floods with Shmi, his mother, and the promise he made to her all those years ago, that he wouldn't fail again. And what he's doing right now is failure. Failure to become the person his mother wanted him to be, a light that cleanses the galaxy of the darkness that holds it hostage. He can't break that promise, and Anakin is determined to stay within the light side of the Force, forego the dark side, and turn on Palpatine. His eyes change from their wretched yellow to their pearl blue as he returns back to reality, eyes wide as he watches the scene unfold in front of his eyes. He was oblivious to the clones beginning the raid as he saw them shoot down Jedi left, right, and center. He jumps into action, igniting his lightsaber, and begins blocking the blast of fire headed towards the Jedi. These men were the 501st, Anakin's personal squadron, but he knew there was no getting through to them. They were Palpatine's men now, but that didn't mean they deserved to die, and he refused to kill them. Instead, he rendered them unconscious, or cut their blasters into pieces. Clones continued to flood in, as Anakin watched at least one Jedi fall a second, and knew the temple foyer was lost. He retreats back to the meditation chamber, close by, where he meets up with Shak Ti and informs her of the situation. He tells her about Palpatine being the Sith Lord, and him killing Mace Windu and the 3 other masters, but specifically leaves out his role in all of it, as he knows the time to reveal this isn't now. They agree that to prevail, they must give up the foyer and retreat into the deeper layers of the temple. Anakin yells the orders at the top of his lungs, and the Jedi begin retreating. They use the Force to crumble parts of the walls behind them, to block the pathway of the clones, so they can funnel them in the direction they want. Anakin orders a group of Padawans to go straight to the communication center of the Jedi Temple and send a message to all surviving Jedi to inform them of what's happened, including the clones purging the temple. He circles around to group up with Sindralig and Jocasta Nu to coordinate a proper response. Collectively, each of the masters split up with a group of knights and Padawans to defend various areas of the temple under siege from the clones. In this timeline, with the expertise of Anakin Skywalker, the greatest Jedi General of the Clone War, they are able to successfully hold off the clones from burrowing deeper into the temple and have forced a stalemate. In the original timeline, the clones with Anakin, the chosen one, on their side was too much for the Jedi in the temple to handle, but now with Anakin on their side, the Jedi have a fighting chance. The clones continue to rush into their deaths, whilst the Jedi barely lose any numbers. Meanwhile, Commander Tup contacts Sidious and tells him about Anakin. As per his orders, he's meant to cut down and kill all the Jedi, excluding Anakin Skywalker, but felt his orders were contradictory, since Anakin was attacking them. Palpatine was surprised when he heard the news, His hatred started to boil under his skin. He expected that after Anakin helped him defeat Mace Windu and execute Order 66, that there would be no redemption from the dark side, but it seems he was mistaken. Palpatine has prepared for this, as he is prepared for every scenario, but it still does sadden his heart, as he desperately wanted someone powerful enough to succeed him and become the future of the Sith, but that can no longer be a reality. He heads towards the Jedi Temple immediately. Meanwhile, at the Jedi Temple, the Jedi are turning the battle in their favor and have started pushing the clone troopers back. Anakin's own squadron of Jedi break through the clones' defenses and overpower them, disarm most of them, and use the Force to break their consciousness. The Padawans and Knights of the group celebrate, but Anakin's heart sinks as he feels a cold and hateful presence approaching. He orders his group to link up with Shaak Ti, as he knows they will merely be distractions in the battle to come. Anakin simply waits and stares upon where he feels the presence until the Sith Master Darth Sidious walks through the hallway entrance, staining the Temple of Light with his darkness. He tells Anakin that he's disappointed in him. He expected more from him and has not only failed him, but his wife, whose death is now certain. But Anakin's mind has now changed. He doesn't believe it. He can't believe such a future can be set in stone. The Force wouldn't do this to him after he's given it so much. There must be another way to save Padme, other than the dark side. Palpatine taunts Anakin and tells the boy he could have had everything he'd ever wanted if he stayed by his side. But now, not only will he have nothing, but everyone he's ever loved will have everything taken from them. After he kills Anakin, he will take out Padme, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka. This only angers Anakin, but he stays composed and doesn't let his mind get shaken. He'll need to stay focused in the following battle if he's to win. Sidious ignites his lightsaber and darts in a flash. Anakin almost doesn't see it, but manages to bring his blade up at the last second to catch it, as the two interlock lightsabers. Palpatine with a menacing snarl on his face, whilst Anakin a face of determination and confidence. They thrash their lightsabers at each other with tremendous velocities, two of the most skilled duelists the galaxy has ever seen. Palpatine tries to overcome Anakin with his speed, but Anakin's youth is his advantage, and he's able to keep up. The Sith Lord pulls back and cracks his lightning towards Anakin, who stoically holds up his lightsaber in front to block. He's seen Palpatine use this move before, and knew it was only a matter of time before it came. He advances towards Palpatine, closing the distance between them ever so slightly, and awaits for the key moment. Palpatine pulls back his lightning, and goes to hit Anakin in the side with his lightsaber, but the Chosen One reads this move. He closed the distance, and cut Palpatine's blade in half with his own, and cracked him across the jaw with his fist, causing the Sith Lord to stumble back dazed. But before he could regain composure, Anakin thrusts his lightsaber through Palpatine, defeating the Sith Lord. During their battle, the Jedi in the temple had managed to stomp out the remaining clones and successfully defend the temple. Anakin contacts Padme to tell her of the situation, and tells her to send Organa their way, as they need his assistance in gaining temporary control of the Senate. He tells Padme she must stay at their home, and to not come to the temple to put herself in danger. Organa comes to the temple at the same time Yoda and Obi-Wan return, and they're filled in on what's happened. Palpatine being the Sith Lord, killing Mace Windu and other masters, but also Anakin defeating him. They congratulate Anakin, but he can't help but feel guilty inside. He'll tell them about Mace, but now isn't the time. They discuss what to do, and Jocasta Nu hands Organa footage of Palpatine attacking Anakin with a red lightsaber, proving he's a Sith Lord. But Organa tells her that this evidence will not be enough, as he's fearful that in the eyes of the Senate, regardless of whether Palpatine was a Sith Lord or not, the Jedi have murdered him in cold blood, and have supposedly attempted to take over the Senate. The bureaucracy is on Palpatine's side, and no doubt a few members are in on his plot, but they have no other choice but to try to plead the Jedi's innocence in front of the Senate. Meanwhile, after Mas Amedda learned of Palpatine's death, he saw this as an opportunity. Mas was Palpatine's right-hand man and loyalist to the Sith. He knew of his plans to create a galactic empire, knew he was a Sith Lord, and had already implemented the foundational plans to clone Palpatine's body in the future, so he could become the eternal emperor of the galaxy. However, Palpatine had failed, their plans foiled by Anakin Skywalker. But Mas Amedda knew Palpatine hadn't told him everything about his plans, and suspected that he might have a way of returning that he didn't know about, so stuck to his role in their grand plan. He calls a Senate meeting to discuss the death of Palpatine at the hands of the Jedi, Amida attempting to take control for himself and the bureaucracy, and extradite the Jedi from the Senate and Republic. This gains a lot of support in the Senate, and the evidence is hard to dispute, but Organa puts forward his own argument, tells them the story of Palpatine being a Sith Lord, playing both sides of the war from the beginning, in order to create a power vacuum to facilitate his rise, but gracefully, Anakin Skywalker, the hero of the Clone War, stopped his tyranny before it could be set in stone. This gets some support through cheers in the Senate, but not a necessary amount. It is not until Padme Amidala speaks up, saying the decision they make here will decide the fate of the galaxy for the foreseeable future, and cannot make it under brash, extreme and sudden conditions like this. She proposes a vote in 24 hours, where they can all vote after having properly thought through the facts and potential consequences of their decisions. This was supported by the majority, so the vote is planned a day later, but for now, Order 66 was suspended. During this time, Organa and the Jedi release all the evidence they have to the Senate, evidence of a Darth Sidious being in control of both sides of the war, creating a clone army for the Jedi, and now Palpatine being this Darth Sidious. Padme and Organa, as well as key members of the delegation of 2000, spend the next day campaigning and trying to convince other senators of the Jedi's innocence, as well as Palpatine's crimes. After the senators were given time to think it through, the following day, many of them came to their senses, and the results of the vote came the following day, were in favor of the Jedi being innocent and remaining the protectors of the Republic. With this, the Clone War was over, and the Sith finally defeated after thousands of years, and the Jedi and Republic could begin to rebuild an almost defeated galaxy. The remaining council members, Obi-Wan, Anakin, Yoda, and other masters Shak Ti, Jirok, and Sindralig, meet together in the council chambers to discuss how the Jedi Order should move forward, having suffered such a significant loss. The conversation starts flowing, but Anakin zones out, as his guilt starts to creep in, and realizes this is the right time to reveal the truth. He tells them all what happened in Palpatine's office, as Mace Windu had him beat, but Anakin joined Palpatine, aiding in killing Windu, and pledging himself to the Sith Lord. Everyone stands in shock, and can't get any words out. Anakin continues by saying that he realizes his mistakes once he reached the Jedi Temple, and did all he could to right his wrongs. Obi-Wan goes off at Anakin, yelling at him, asking why and how he could do this, but deep down, he already knew the answer. Anakin tells them of his wife Padme, and how he started having dreams of her dying in childbirth, similar dreams that he had of his mother years ago, that ended up coming true. He couldn't let that happen again, and was willing to do anything to save her, or so he thought. The Masters look around at each other, and ultimately on Yoda, as they know the Grand Master's wisdom will decide Skywalker's fate. Yoda tells Anakin he's committed a significant crime to the Jedi Order, and his own selfish actions almost cost the entire Jedi Order and galaxy as a whole. The reveal of his wife Padme was surprising, but it makes their conversation only days before make more sense now. Yoda tells Anakin this was his Jedi trial, although in a roundabout way. He had started down the dark path after pledging himself to Palpatine, but managed to pull himself back to the light, undo a decade of manipulation and corruption, not something that can be easily done. Yoda is a man of forgiveness and redemption, but also blames himself for being blind to Palpatine's manipulation and corruption. Although Mace Windu will be missed, Yoda allows Anakin to stay in the Order, now a Master, who will play a pivotal role in its reconstruction. Anakin thanks the Master, but tells him he must walk a different path. His time as a Jedi is over. He's fulfilled his so-called role as the Chosen One, and must now live for what he wants. He hands over his lightsaber, and walks out of the room, never looking back. He goes and tells Padme everything that's happened, and also reveals the truth of his short-lived turn to the dark side. Padme was shocked at first, but ultimately was understanding, and happy that she has a husband who loved and cared for her deeply. Anakin has completely put his trust in the Force regarding Padme's childbirth, and he was right to do so, as only days later did she give birth to the twins, Luke and Leia. Padme decided she would leave behind her life as a senator, having given all she had to the Republic for so many years. Moves back to Naboo with Anakin and their twins, where they can start their family and live the life they dreamed of. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed the video, you must check out what if Anakin and Padme's marriage was revealed to the council, and what if Anakin never turned to the dark side animation. Please leave your comments below, and like and subscribe. I'll see you all next time.